Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesdays in the Shop with Gotham Quilts. I am Andrea, and we have Jen joining us tonight as well. Tonight, we're going to tell you about something new we're doing. And we honestly, we can't remember if we've done it before, but if we had, it was a very long time ago. So we're going to do a quilt along. And we're going to be using the Quota pattern that you see behind me here. We have two colorways available. And this quilt was in QuiltCon and the pattern is in the QuiltCon magazine. You've probably heard us talking about it. We've mentioned it a few times before, but this is our official announcement of the quilt along. And we're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really fun. And Jen is going to be running it this time. So I will let her tell you a little bit more about it.
Awesome. So a quilt along, what it is, we have our Mighty Networks community. So we have a space put together there, and every week, everybody will be working on the same project. We're all going to be making quota all at the same time. There's no requirement to purchase anything from us. You don't have to buy a kit. You don't have to buy the pattern from us. You do have to have a copy of the pattern, but we're not policing that. Although we also aren't giving away the block measurements. So you have to have a copy of it. But a lot of people get the magazine at QuiltCon.
Right.
But if you do need a copy, you can get that from us. Mm-hmm. We've put together a lot of resources. If you want to do your own colorway, we have loaded, Andrea put it into Pre-Quilt, which is a great software. You can actually use fabric company swatches in the software to color it the way that you like. I also have uploaded a plain black and white coloring page. If you want to go old school and use pencils or markers or whatever, we can do that. But we're all going to be working at the same project at the same time over 8 weeks, starting May 1st, which gives us plenty of time to get everything together and make sure that we have everything we need. We're encouraging community involvement. We want everybody to share what they're working on. So when you pick your colors, show us your colors. We want to see, we want to get excited. Mm-hmm. It's so fun as a designer to see different colorways.
I can't wait to see what people come up with. And I would love to see some that are made in prints instead of solids. I think it would be gorgeous in yarn dyes. So many options. And I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah. Let's see. So one thing that we're going to be having giveaways. We haven't decided how many or when, but we're going to have giveaways. We're going to have, there's on-demand videos for each week, taking us through different steps in the process. There's also live Q&A sessions. So if there's anything that I missed in the on-demand section, you can ask me live to my face on Zoom, or you can ask us in the feed. It's actually better to ask us in the feed because my phone's usually in my pocket if I'm not on my computer. So I'll see it pop up immediately and either answer it or call a quick team meeting to understand.
Right.
What we missed. But it's a lot of fun. And then we're going to have, for people who finish their quilt top by the end of this sew along, we are going to have a label, a special commemorative quilt along label that you'll get for free just for finishing and sharing a picture of your finished top. I thought about making it the finished quilt in the 8 weeks, but I realized that not everybody does this every day as their job. You might have other things in your life going on.
Yeah, those pesky other things.
Right? So just the top is enough to get the label. And then you'll have more motivation to finish it because you'll have a label.
Mm-hmm. And 2 months is really a pretty generous amount of time because we know that you probably do have other things going on. Because the quilt is relatively small. It's only 42 by 48, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, 42 by 48. So it's a wall hanging size. And the pieces are big, as you can see. So the piecing does go relatively quickly. We do have some half rectangle triangles on the top row there, which is a little bit different than the half square triangles that you see, down here at the bottom. So it's a tiny bit different, but still fairly straightforward piecing. So that way you have a lot of time to kind of concentrate on choosing fabrics, or as we did with having fun with the quilting. So that we'll talk about that in a second. But this way you don't have to rush. It should be, I mean, Jen, you finished this quilt in, because Jen made the second colorway. Didn't you do that in like a day?
Yeah, I think I just did it in one day.
Yeah.
I think it may have been 2 days because the dogs are challenging.
So if you had to, you could
Yeah,
complete this quilt in 2 days.
absolutely. One thing that my mom is she's an experienced quilter, but she likes to stay in the beginner space. She was very pleased to hear that this is applique. The circles are applique, not piecing, because
Good
she
point.
knows that if Andrea and I are together and there's a tiny little sliver, there's a good chance that we pieced it, but we didn't. Andrea did not do that.
I did not. This is not pieced. No way. Even I'm not that crazy.
Oh, I can get there, but
You might. I'm not going there.
but you don't have to. Just because you know you can doesn't mean you have to. So it's really fun. It was a really quick make, and it was so much fun. I'm so excited I get to make another one, and then maybe another one after that, because I loved quilting it. Quilting it was so fun. And I was told very specifically to keep the quilting simple, and I did not keep the quilting simple because I couldn't. So I have to do the next one simple, but maybe whatever I do if I participate in the actual quilt along, I'll make a fourth one or third one and make it. Then I'll go crazy with the quilting.
Yeah. I think I might even make another one. It's just a nice, pretty straightforward, quick quilt, but has a lot of visual impact. And then with these big pieces, you can do some interesting quilting. I can tell in the camera, you can see some of this quilting that Jen did right here. Yeah. So this part is hand stitched actually, and then this part is machine stitched, but she joined them in a way that looks really fluid, and there's just so much room to really have fun with the quilting on this one, whether it's hand, whether it's machine, whether it's both. Sandra is asking if we used free motion. I did not use any free motion on this quilt. It is all completely walking foot. I'm not very good at free motion, so I generally stay away from it. So the one I did, this I marked. Well, the lines I didn't have to mark because I could just use my foot. But all the circles were marked out in advance, which is something we'll show you during the quilt along, how you can do that. So if you wanted to do quilting like this, we'll show you how to do that. You absolutely don't have to. Just the straight line quilting is actually really effective too. So yeah, lots of options here, and free motion is not necessary, although it would be cool if you wanted to do that. If you're, more confident than I am, you certainly could, and you could do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I didn't free motion mine either. It was all walking foot because I can free motion. But sometimes I don't like to, I know that the traditional thing is to if you have a quilt with a lot of straight lines, you put curves on it. And if you have curves, you do straight lines. I do the opposite. When I have a lot of straight lines, I like to double down and enhance the graphic impact. I don't like to go the other way.
And this one has both straight lines and curves.
Right.
So you can mix it up or just pick one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. I've spent how many years learning how to free motion and do feathers, and now I just want to do straight lines with my walking foot.
Yeah, I knew from an early time that was all I wanted to do.
Yeah. Do you want me to do a little share of the community?
Maybe we can pop up the QR code real quick so people can see. Go to the website, and so if you just scan that QR code with your phone, it'll take you directly to our website. Where all you have to do is enter your email address and you'll be added to the sew along. We also have a couple other things that we thought, so we do have the 2 kits available. So if you do want to make it in one of these colorways, we have both kits available for purchase. We have the magazine available if you don't already have it. And then we've put together a couple thread packs. So if for your quilting, because I used 4 or 5 different colors of threads in this one, and I know Jen used a couple different colors in hers as well. So we have put together thread packs for both colorways so that you can coordinate your threads with your fabrics. And then one more thing is a circle cutter which is really helpful for cutting these circles. I've used quite a few different circle cutters, and the one we have that we're offering now is the True Cut circle cutter, and I like it the best. That one, it's nice and flat, and it helps keep your fabric flat, and it will cut all of the sizes that you need for this. So those are all optional accessories that you could purchase if you want to, but again, no purchase is necessary to join this quilt along. So you can scan right there, and we'll give you a couple seconds to do that if you need to. Vet has also put up the link in the chat there on the side. So you can also, if you're on your computer and you don't have a phone to scan the QR code, you can just click that link and go right to the website as well. And then I think we'll take you over to Mighty Networks and let you see some of the stuff that Jen's been working on to help support you in your journey, your quota journey.
All right, let's see if this works this time. Ta-da. All right, so this is our Mighty Networks community, and we have it set up so that we have, can you see my cursor, Andrea?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. That's better.
All right, so we have it set up so that right on the welcome page, this is open for everybody right now. It talks about the quilt along. There's a video where I babble for, a little bit more than 6 minutes. And I'm very pleased. I learned how to do some video editing today. And look, you can see the blue one pop up. Ta-da! Ooh. That's super fancy for me in video.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
And then, so I have our schedule here, so you can see when the meeting times are. And if I have it for Saturdays at 3 o'clock, if a lot of people can't make it, then just let me know and we can see about rescheduling it. But for now, it's easier if there's just something in my schedule. So you can see we take it really slow. We do cutting, we do half square triangles and quarter square triangles because they're related. Then we do the half rectangle triangles and assemble the top. Then we do the applique. And if we lost you at any of those points, we'll have a live Q&A so we can get you back on track. Week 6, we just talk about planning our quilting. We're not even actually planning to do any that week. We're just going to talk about it and come up with a design. Week 7, do the quilting. And then week 8, binding and label. And I have somewhere I put it together. If you finish your top by the 26th, I think is the last day of this week 8, then, send in, post a picture of your quilt in the feed. There will be a place to do that. And then we'll send you a label for it. Let's see. So we have the links to the kits here, the 2 different colorways, links to the magazine if you need that. Here's a link to pre-quilt so that you can go in and play with the colors. And I mentioned the fabric brands that we carry at Gotham. If you want to use these, stick with these 3 designer or these 3 solid brands, then you can order all of your fabric from us at one point, one spot. If you like to color with pencils or markers, there's a coloring page for you to download. Some rules and information on the labels. And let's see, what's this? Oh, just talking about the magazine. The fabric amounts in the kit vary from the magazine a little bit because magazine editors have different ideas of what they need versus what we know we need. So that one was a little bit different. But
yeah, that was a fun surprise when I opened the magazine and saw that they had changed the amounts, and I had already cut all the kits.
Right. The other thing that I didn't put here is I have a swatch page. I have to finish it. I have because one of the other things is, the translating the color names from what's in the pattern to what you actually have in your hand is like an extra little step.
Yeah. And that swatch page is very helpful. You can just put a little, it'll have the name of the color that the pattern uses, but then you can actually put your swatch next to it. So when it's in the magazine, when it says orange, you can have your swatch of, pearly pink or whatever it is, and keep all of those straight in your head. Cause it can there's 11 different colors in this one. And trying to, it says orange, but I'm using a pink. Like, so the swatch page is super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets really, it got really complicated when I was making the second colorway.
Yeah, a lot. Also, because some of the colors are the same names. There's
It's
two different periwinkles in that one from two
right.
different companies.
Right. Well, and even in the main one, the main pattern says blue is one of the colors. There's 4 blues.
Right. There's several
Blue isn't
blues
helpful.
here. Yeah.
So we have that all broken down for you, but that'll be in the week 1 stuff because you don't really need that for planning purposes yet. But if there's anything else that you think of that you've seen with other quilt alongs that's been helpful, tell me, because I don't always participate in stuff. I don't always have time to do this. And I also don't always want to do other people's patterns because I'm a bit of a brat. But so like, if there's something that I've missed, tell me and I'll do it. I want to be helpful. I want everybody to come away from this with a finished project and having had a good time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as I said, this is the first time we've done a quilt along. So we also would like to get better. So absolutely. If you have comments or suggestions for us, definitely let us know at any time.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll try to answer them as best we can.
See that no self-control, Jen. Yeah, that's my mom. That's my mom who knows.
I don't have much self-control either. So
right.
When it comes to quilts, that is.
Yeah, and the hand quilting is my new thing lately. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, but I've learned I don't want to hand quilt the whole project. My favorite is to do a hybrid. I like to do enough machine quilting to hold it together, and then I can do hand quilting until I'm bored, and I can be done at any point.
Yeah, and I like the mix of the two. I think it looks really cool. Yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, tell I assume about pre-quilt. Yes, we should talk more about pre-quilt. So when we went to quilt, I mean, I had known about pre-quilt before, and we had actually touched on it when we told you about the Quilt Your Own Adventure book that came out probably maybe 2 years ago at this point. Because she had a lot of the quilts from the Quilt Your Own Adventure book are also in pre-quilt. Our booth at QuiltCon was next to the pre-quilt booth, and we got to learn a little bit more about them. And as soon as we got home, I signed up, and I have been having so much fun putting in patterns and recoloring them and just having a lot of fun playing around with it. So I did put a quota into pre-quilt. And if you don't already have, or if you're not familiar with them, it's just prequilt.com, prequilt.com. And it's a simpler software for designing and recoloring quilts. So there's a lot of pattern designers that already have coloring pages built in that they've put in themselves. I know Susie Quilts has a ton. There's a couple others. And that way they give you the coloring page. And as Jen said, there are links to all of the major manufacturers' solid colors built right in. And you can also import print fabrics as well. And then you can plug it right into the quilt and get a really good, vision of what it's going to look like in the end. So and there's also like a randomizer button. So it'll just cycle through colors and you get all these, ideas, just really fast. And there's lots of different ways you can kind of customize and lock certain colors, but still cycle through others and various other things. They have a couple different levels. So it, depending on how much you want to pay, and I'm pretty sure they have a free trial as well. But I've been having so much fun. So you would just go into Prequilt, open it up, click on color pages, and then you might have to search for us. I haven't actually figured out.
Or if you go into the group, into the Sew Along page, there's a link right to it.
There you go. That'll take you right to it. And then you can plug in your own fabrics, use the solids that are built in, anything you want.
And Hope was asking, she's concerned about the circles. They're applique. They're fusible applique. There's nothing to worry about. Nope. Cutting the circle is the hardest part. And if you're really anxious about that, we have a special ruler or cutting tool to help you with that. But you don't have to be worried about the circles at all.
Right. Nope. Nothing to worry about. You could even use a dinner plate and trace them and cut them with scissors if you had to. It's, you can go as high tech or as low tech as you want, and then you just iron them on. So don't
And the kit
worry
comes
about that.
fusible.
It does. The kit is in the fusible is included in the kit. And then they are sewn around the edge, but that's, you're kind of typical. They, let's see, the smallest one I think is 4 inches. So it's not a tight curve that you have to worry too much about. And then the other ones are bigger and even easier to stitch down. So don't worry too much about the circles. They are not as hard as they look.
And I was going to talk, I plan in that section to talk about how to stitch them down. For my applique, I like to just do a straight line close to the edge and not worry about it.
That's what I did too.
But if you're worried about it and you want it to be more perfect, if you're going to wash it and use it, we'll talk about how to do a zigzag or a blanket stitch on your sewing machine. But I actually had a quilter who I said, like, doesn't it bother you that your quilts, like, they fray a little bit on the edges? And he said, no. He goes, I like to know that they have a life. And that to me was perfect. I needed no further excuse to not fool around with the zigzag on my machine.
And also, I mean, this is meant as a wall hanging. You could use it it is a good size for a baby quilt. But it's really meant to go on a wall, and I'm not going to wash it. I'm not going to worry. I'm not worried about it fraying. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So not too many. How advanced do I need to be for this quilt? Not very advanced. I would say just be able to sew a 1/4 inch seam.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. And if you did have any difficulty, that's a great reason to join the Quilt Along, is because you'll get support, be able to ask questions. Jen's doing a lot of videos to help.
It's a free quilt class.
Exactly. Yeah, you're basically getting a free quilt class.
And I'll talk about, making sure how to get your half square triangles right. And if you want to get your points perfectly matched up, I'll show you how to do that. Mm-hmm. And also give you permission not to worry.
Yeah, it's already been in a show, so don't, yours are probably not going in shows. It doesn't, the points do not have to match perfectly.
Right. They don't, but if you want them to, I'll show you how to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're like me and they do have to match perfectly, we'll help you, show you how to do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. Oh, how much fabric do you need?
It's not a ton of fabric. It is 11 different colors, but it's no more than a 1/2 yard of any of those colors, or less. So not a ton of fabric.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's funny, in the magazine it says 7/8 of a yard of that cream fabric, but I don't know what they were doing with it.
It's because they're throwing away half the rectangle.
They made a lot of extra blocks too.
They did,
so the magazine is great. It's great. Take our instructions when we explain how to do those.
Yeah, so Jen had enough left over. So she used the kit and had enough fabric left over to make the whole back of the quilt as well.
Yeah, and some stuffed Easter eggs.
And in the magazine, they increased the amount of a lot of the fabrics. In one case, almost doubled it. So they're gonna, if you go by the instructions or the amounts, in the magazine, you will have a lot of fabric left over, but you'll just be able to use it for other things.
Yeah, Sandra, the community space is open now. I'm pretty sure I set it to live in public.
Yep, and I know Sandra is already part of our community, so she should be able to view that. Although we might have to check with our chief technology officer if you're having any issues.
You shouldn't. Let me know. I just sent her an invitation too. I know Sandra. It's Sandra. I get funny on my pronunciations. I like to make long vowels all the time. But yeah, so I'm so excited to get started. And now the hardest part is going to be waiting until May 1st.
Exactly. Yeah. But that gives you time to play with the coloring pages, play with pre-quilt, get your fabrics together, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be May 1st before we know it.
Honestly, yeah. And I'll be back in New Jersey. All right. Let me see. I was supposed to be, I don't think I missed anything. I have lots of notes on my crazy pages here.
No,
Now I have to go finish the swatch page and get that loaded up.
I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah. I'm so excited, and I'm gonna do one in wovens. We'll do an artisan cotton version.
Yeah, which is what I would have done originally if I had had more time.
Yeah. So I'll try to get Yvette to share the image. I did an image of, if we did 4 of them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You'd get an 84 by 96 inch quilt, which is a nice size quilt.
It is.
And you wouldn't need to buy 4 kits. You'd probably only need 2. So.
Probably, actually. Yeah.
But that's exciting.
Yes.
Although for the little ones, you might need more for the circles.
I don't know. We'll look into that, because so her idea of putting 4 of them together and making a larger quilt, that is a relatively new idea, and we haven't gotten it worked all out yet, but we will be updating you as we do.
This is how I drive the train off the track.
It did actually look really cool. I wasn't sure, but I've been convinced. I don't see any more questions.
No.
If anyone thinks of any questions later, just send us an email, info@Gotham Quilts. You can post something in the community if you're already a member. Any of those things, we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, or suggestions, comments, any of those things. Just let us know.
Yeah.
I think that'll be it for tonight, and we will see you next week for another Tuesdays in the Shop. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. How do we make it stop?
I'm not sure.
Until Yvette notices?
Yeah, I guess so. Should we just keep waving?
Let's see. All right. It's like the news channel.
Mm-hmm. Should we start talking about the weather?
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Dead air, dead air.